Welcome to the Democrats of Greater Tucson Monday show. We speak each week to a candidate, office holder, or public policy expert to help our members and the public participate in an informed democracy. The Democrats of Greater Tucson, the DGT.org, is a membership-based club and political action committee with a 50-year track record in promoting democratic values in our community. Apart from the weekly forums like this one, we also hold a monthly in-person happy hour to provide our members and the public with access to political conversation and to encourage engagement with the democratic process in our own government. Please visit us at thedgt.org to learn more about our upcoming events and browse our recorded shows. If you appreciate and support our mission to help people do democracy better, then please become a member for just $24 a year. Thanks so much.
And we have Sadie Shaw. Sadie is an artist, arts administrator, neighborhood organizer, and oral historian. She's a graduate of Amphi High School and holds a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Art and Visual Culture Education from the University of Arizona. In 2020, she was elected to the Tucson Unified School District Governing Board, where she advocates for the arts, improving student outcomes, and promoting accountability, transparency, and fiscal responsibility within the district. Sadie has been deeply involved in community advocacy, serving as president of the Sugar Hill Neighborhood Association from 2018 to 2020, and currently serves as vice president. Her work focuses on empowering residents, preserving the neighborhood's history through oral histories and public art. This commitment led her to establish the Sugar Hill Community Land Trust, a nonprofit organization dedicated to reversing gentrification and supporting arts, history, and cultural programming in the community. Through her artistic practice, community engagement, and political activism, Sadie challenges the status quo and works to create meaningful change. She remains a passionate advocate for the arts, public education, neighborhood preservation, and the people of Tucson. Let's hear it for our visitor today, Sadie Shaw.
Thanks, Joe. Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
How's it going? Well, it's great to be here again at the DGT Monday meeting. I was over at the pool party yesterday, so I see some familiar faces in the Zoom room. Thanks, everyone, for being here and for being interested in hearing about my platform. So again, yeah, my name's Sadie Shaw. I am a candidate for Ward 3 City Council. I'm also serving on the TUSD Governing Board and was recently elected in November. Next slide, please. Joe went over my bio, so a lot of this stuff is redundant at this point. I don't know if you mentioned, though, that I am a mom. My daughter Salome is 11. She goes to Dodge Middle School. Again, I am a neighborhood advocate over in Sugar Hill. It's really my work in the neighborhood that led me to become a public servant, both in TUSD and hopefully at City Council. Currently, I work at the Arts Foundation for Tucson and Southern Arizona. My job is primarily to help neighborhoods put public art in their area, whether that's on the corner, within parks, or in any public space within a neighborhood. If you're interested in having a donation in your area, please feel free to reach out to me separately and I can help you with that process. Next slide, please. Okay, just going to go over a bit about my volunteer service that I've done over the years. I recently had to resign from the League of Women Voters of Greater Tucson Board now that I'm running in a partisan seat. But I've been a member of the League of Women Voters since 2019, and I currently still am a member. Joe mentioned that I am the founder and the president of the Sugar Hill Community Land Trust. I'll talk more about that a bit later. I was appointed by Ward 3 Council Member Paul Durham in 2019 to serve on the city's Public Art and Community Design Committee. That's the committee that oversees all of the commissions for public art. They approve of the artist that the panel selects. And so they're kind of like the final approving body for all of the public art that you see around town. And at the Arts Foundation, currently, I am the facilitator of this committee. So I'm the person who does like the legal action reports, the minutes, I post the agenda, all of that. So it's like totally like 360 circle. Next slide. Okay. Yes, I am currently the vice president of the Sugar Hill Neighborhood Association, formerly the president. Some of the things that we accomplished over the years was park renaming, oral history project. I'll get into that a bit later. I am currently serving on the Juneteenth Festival Board. For those of you who are not aware, the Juneteenth is coming up soon. We will be having our annual event. It will be the 55th annual Juneteenth over at Keno Sports Complex. I know Keno Sports Complex is huge, but it's in the area where the soccer fields are. So it's like on the south side of Ajo, I believe. That's on the 14th, and it'll be happening all day. I also serve on their education committee. We're putting out a scholarship, and so if you know any youth who are writers, it's a creative writing scholarship. And yeah, if you come on down to the Juneteenth, you'll hear more about that. Previously, I also served on the Arts Foundation Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee. That was before I became a staff member at the Arts Foundation in 2022. Next slide, please. And Ethan put the link to some more information about the Juneteenth in the chat if you're interested. Okay, so we all know that like I currently serve in TUSD. Serving in TUSD have certainly helped me understand how to get things done. TUSD is the largest school district in Southern Arizona. We have around 40,000 students, more than 7,000 staff members. And so it is definitely a beast of a district in regards to the budget, all of the things that we have to oversee. So it certainly has prepared me for this role at the City Council. I just want to talk briefly about some of the things that I helped accomplish in TUSD. Next slide. So my main focus in the first term was art education. That's why I ran, is because I found out, unfortunately, that my daughter's school did not have art or music classes, and I could not change that as a parent, no matter how hard I tried. So I ran on a platform of bringing art and music for all students in TUSD, and we managed to make that happen within my first 6 months in office. Since the COVID relief grant that we used to fund art education throughout the district has since ended, there has been a bit of backtracking in TUSD as far as having a really robust art and music program at every school. And so we have found a way to maintain art and music everywhere, but certainly it's not equitably distributed as I would like to have. So we're still working on that. And so that is one of my goals for this current term. If you are aware, we did approve an override to go out to voters in November. That override will cover some of the things that I hope to accomplish in this second term. That's making art education more robust, funding PE at every school, and also making sure that we have a certified librarian at every single school library. If you can believe it, we do not have that currently, and I have tried to make that happen within our general fund in TUSD, but I have not had board support for that throughout the years that I've been advocating for PE and librarians. So I'm happy that it's within some of the allocations that we hope to do if the override passes. Next slide. transparency and accountability. So I'm definitely one of the main board members who has pushed for our district to be transparent and accountable to our constituents. One of the main ways that we hear from our constituents is the call to the audience portion of the board meeting. Um, Over the years, several of our board members have worked to limit the call to the audience. A couple of years ago, they tried to eliminate the email portion. Our staff do really good work and they work long hours, and so to ask them to submit a comment in person, I think is totally wrong. We also have people who have accessibility issues, who have health issues, who may not be able to come down to Duffy and wait an hour or more to speak to the board. And so every time there's any move to limit call to the audience, I am a strong advocate for that. I also push back to our district administrators who try to kind of limit the information that gets put out to the public. And I'm always speaking on behalf of those who are watchdogs of our district. Next slide. This is kind of about some of the information or misinformation that the board and the public receives from our higher administrators. During the pandemic, we were told by our legal counsel that the board did not have the authority to close down schools when there was an outbreak. They kept telling us that it was the responsibility of the health department to close down schools. And I did my research. I found that it was, in fact, our authority to close down schools. And, during the COVID pandemic, there was a lot of times when we should have closed down schools, but we were receiving misinformation. And, I went as far as Dr. Teresa Cullen in getting the information. I even reached out to the state superintendent for information, though I didn't get a comment back from that. But I found that it was our authority. And despite me, talking to other board members, that it was in our court to close down schools when needed, and talking to superintendent and legal counsel, no one really believed me, frankly. And so I had to go to the press from this. Finally, the legal counsel did more research and found that it was the authority of the board to close down schools. And unfortunately, this ruling from our legal counsel came far too late. It just kind of shows that I am the type of leader that will do my research, that I won't take the first opinion as correct. When you're going to the doctor, they always say to get a second opinion, and I'm the type of leader that will seek a second opinion when things just don't seem right. And I've done that in TUSD, and I do plan to do that at the city level. Next slide. School safety. So TUSD has their own security department, our school safety department. You can see an image of some of our staff members here. And so we're pretty unique in having our own armed security team. I appreciate our school safety department. As a board, we do have authority to oversee their rules, their regulations, their training, and how they handle issues that happen at our schools. And so I think it's really important that we, have that authority. And if there's any issue with, how things are addressed at schools, that we look at it and change things. I've mentioned publicly that if elected to city council, that I want to have more oversight of our Tucson Police Department to make sure that they are doing their due diligence and serving the people in the way that they should be served. There hasn't been much move to oversee Tucson Police Department's policies or training, and the way that they handle things, and especially their complaint department. I'll go into that in a later slide. But one of the things that I helped our school safety department get is, bulletproof vests that you can see on a couple of these gentlemen here. And that's important because we have had some cases in TUSD where there was an active shooter outside the school, and the Tucson Police Department failed to answer the call when schools reached out to them, and our school safety department did within minutes. And so, because of that, at the time, our our guys did not have a bulletproof vests, so they had to use like the school pillars to protect themselves. And I want people who are in charge of serving our students, serving our staff, and protecting them to be equipped with everything that they need, so that in the event of some unspeakable disaster, they will be protected as well. Next slide. Right on. I want to go into my accomplishments in Sugar Hill as a neighborhood advocate before I get into my platform for city council, because, it all relates. This photo here is me speaking to the graduates at Tucson High, in case you're interested. Next slide, please. Okay, so one of my first orders of business as neighborhood president in 2018 was to expand the boundaries of Sugar Hill and also to rename it. So before I became president, our boundaries ended right here on 6th Avenue. That's the street right next to Mansfield Park that you see in this image. Historically, or, word of mouth, people like the boundaries of Sugar Hill were much larger than this. We used to, El Cortez that you see at that right corner used to be a part of Sugar Hill. They broke off in the 90s and became their own neighborhood. But I felt that this unincorporated area to the west of 6th Avenue was, had representation. And so we put out a neighborhood vote to expand the boundary lines so that all of the neighbors and businesses within that unincorporated area could have a voice. It's really important for neighbors and businesses to be within a neighborhood association, because if they're not, they don't they could reach out to their council office, but certainly like having an organizing body has a lot more weight. And so the vote was successful. We expanded the boundaries. Within that vote also, we put out there to change the name of the neighborhood. Formerly, we were Northwest Neighborhood, but colloquially, people knew us as Sugar Hill. If you don't know, there's a Sugar Hill in many cities. It's a name given to many Black neighborhoods that have, it's kind of like an up and coming neighborhood name. Sugar Hill, like many Sugar Hills around the country, had a lot of Black professionals in it, principals, teachers, dentists, and also just regular working class folks. My family moved into the neighborhood in the 1950s. My grandma worked as a cook for one of the sororities over at the U of A, and my grandpa was a construction worker, and he built many of the homes in Sugar Hill and surrounding areas. Next, thanks. Oral History Project. So I started the Oral History Project. That was kind of like a capstone project at the university for me, but it was a way that I could raise the visibility of the neighborhood, and also, collect the stories of our older residents. You can listen
to this number for 7 years.
to that. Oh, Joe, thanks. If you're interested in hearing some of these stories, you could go to that website. If you'll go to the next slide, please. If you like to take your phones out and scan that QR code, you could also listen to some of these stories. That image that I had on the previous slide of Miss Christine Dillon, she says that she was one of the first people to move into the neighborhood. She came into the neighborhood. Well, she bought the house like via phone from Texas, and they didn't realize that, she was a Black family, and they had already like sent in the check, signed the deed, and so she details in her oral history that story, and how after they moved in, there was white flight in the neighborhood. Sugar Hill is part of the CCRs. I'll get to that, I think, in the next slide, if you want to go to the next slide. Well, it'll be in a previous slide. I'll talk about that in a moment. But public art is big for me, both professionally and just as a neighborhood advocate. The Sugar Hill Banners is a project that I helped to initiate both as a neighborhood advocate and in my professional life at the Arts Foundation. We wrote a grant to the Thrive in the '05 back in like 2018, and it was never materialized until last year. And I helped to facilitate the panel meetings for this. If you drive down Stone, it details some of the historic residents. Here we have Miss Victoria McKinney. And there is also like a ArcGIS like story project attached to this. I don't have the link, unfortunately, but you can search it online. Next slide. I was also one of the...
I forgot your orange juice.
Oh, please be on mute, folks. I was also the main organizer for the renaming of Mansfield Park to Doris J. Thompson Park. Through my research, we found that the CCRs in our neighborhood had racist language. And one of the largest property owners, Monty Mansfield, who donated his land to the park, we felt that because he was kind of the main proponent of this language, his name didn't properly represent us anymore. And so we changed it to Doris J. Thompson, who was one of the leaders who forced the city to not only develop the land into a park, but also to put a recreation center on there. And you can see in that yellow text some of the racist language within our CCRs in Sugar Hill. Next slide. Okay, so I'm almost to the city stuff, guys. I did start the Sugar Hill Community Land Trust. As Joe said, the main idea for the land trust is to reverse the gentrification in Sugar Hill. We also do a lot of financial help for folks in the area. The woman that you saw on that banner, Miss Victoria McKinney, she had passed away a few years ago, and the Land Trust helped to pay for her funeral and her memorial. We also pay for arts programming in the neighborhood and also some of our annual events that we have, like the Day After Thanksgiving event and the block party. And we also, in the past, have given out micro grants to some residents. But we've given out about, more than $125,000 over the years. And we did that through a grant from the Community Food Bank. Next slide. Okay. Right on. So I'm going to get into some of the reasons why I'm running and some of my campaign platforms. So yeah, I'm running for city council because, just looking at how Ward 3 has been ran over the years, and not just in Kevin's term, but like throughout the years, since I was a child, really, it's kind of a time capsule in my part of Ward 3. If you drive down Stone, you'll know what I'm talking about. Resources have not been properly allocated to the areas that need it most. And unfortunately, I don't see much of the council, both the incumbent and other council members, really advocating for an equity model in how city resources are allocated. Being that I am like a proven strong leader in TUSD, and in the neighborhood, I know that I can advocate for the residents of Ward 3 and all of Tucson in a way that is needed at this point. We're at a turning point in Tucson, and I think it takes new leadership and fresh eyes and fresh ideas to change things around. And we can't wait another 4 years for people to, get things right. And I'm ready to hit the ground running for the city. Next slide. Okay, neighborhood investments. So like I said, I think we deserve representation that will speak to our interests. I am a person who is born and raised in Tucson, and Ward 3 has been my stomping grounds for my entire life. And so, I know what it's like to live in the 85705 zip code. I know, what it's like to have a council person who, might be. Might not want to advocate for issues that are a little bit more difficult to advocate for, like, road issues, issues with the unhoused, even the opioid crisis. And so, being that I have lived this life, I have family who have been impacted by homelessness and the opioid crisis. This is personal to me, and I know that I can. Use my creativity and my connections within the community to find solutions to the neighborhood needs that we have. I talked a little bit already about how we need to make community investments in the places that need it most. And I want to do that in years that don't align with my reelection. If you've driven around Ward 3 recently, you'll notice that there are a lot of road projects that are happening before August, slated to happen this month in all kind of areas around Ward 3. I think it's kind of unfortunate that our city council kind of uses election years to finally get things done. As a council person, I will, not think about, keeping political power to wait for those investments to happen, because investments need to happen now when they're needed instead of pushing it down the line for 3 to 4 years. Next slide. Transparency and open government. So, as you know, I currently administrate one of the city's BCCs, the Public Art and Community Design Committee. The city has a ton of committees and commissions for citizens to join. Unfortunately, the way that those BCCs are implemented is in no way streamlined. Some BCCs have a person that really knows open meeting law, and some do not. Some BCCs submit minutes and agendas and legal action reports in a timely manner, and others, do not at all. If you know open meeting law, you'll know that minutes have to be submitted within 3 days. The agenda needs to be posted prior to the meeting, and if you don't have the minutes submitted, then you need to submit like an audio or video file. The fact that many of our PCCs aren't following open meeting law, to me, it's a liability, and it makes it so that our constituents don't really know what's happening. Not only that, but most constituents don't even know that these BCCs exist and that they could have a voice in the way that the city resources are allocated, from anything like the art projects or like the police commission that oversees complaints, and anything that you can think of, streets, things like that. And so I think we need to promote that we have these BCCs. We need to promote that there are a ton of vacancies in our BCCs, because many of these BCCs can't meet because they lack a quorum, because there are so many vacancies. And so I'd like to push for more transparency and open government, both in this city's BCCs, but also at the city council level. Unfortunately, the city council's call to the audience, I think you have to be in person, where in the past you could call in or submit an email. I want to make sure that citizens can comment and be a part of our government in the easiest way for them to be, a part of it. And so I'm going to push for more transparency and open government at the city level. I'd also like to institute the citizens participation department that used to be a thing at the city level. It was on the first floor of City Hall. think there's a general lack of participation from constituents. Like we do have those squeaky wheels that come to call to the audience at the city, and are always like at some of the meetings that the city has around the neighborhood. But generally, most people around Tucson are unaware of who their council person is, are unaware when there's meetings like the Plan Tucson or like the Norte Sur meetings. And I think that is not because people aren't interested in participating, it's because the city lacks a way to do proper outreach. Um, even in like things that I've been a part of at the Arts Foundation when working with Thrive, um, with art projects that are like within my neighborhood, they unfortunately did not do their due diligence to send out mailers to the neighborhood like they said they would. And so I think this speaks to the greater issue of this like manufactured consent that the city likes to say, we have done our due diligence. Everybody knows this is happening. You can see that with how Prop 414 was initiated. Many of the voters were caught unaware of, these allocations, and they weren't asked for their opinion before it went out to vote. And, I'm one of the 70% who voted no on Prop 414. And so I hope to kind of bring some of my expertise with outreach to City Hall. Next slide. All right, so constituent services are really important for council members. When elected, I do plan on expanding my office hours. Currently, Ward 3 office hours are from 9 to 1, and this is not like something that's unique to the Ward 3 office. There's other council offices who do have these strange hours as well. But when elected, I do want to expand the hours from 9 to 5 or 11 to 7 so that, constituents who are working people can pop into the office and speak to me directly about a concern that they're facing, or just kind of learn about what's happening around the city so that they can get involved. Um, I in TUSD, I have a lot of constituents that reach out to me. Some I'm able to help because I have that uh, open door policy. And of course, I don't have an office as a TUSD board member. I really just have an email address. But I try to be as open as possible and help people when they haven't had any success in advocating for themselves in through the proper channels. So I'm going to continue that emphasis on constituent services, and really be proactive and use my staff and be out there at the forefront, go to events, and really not rely on my staff to carry the load. I do hope to have one staff member be a homeless liaison person. This is something that the Ward 2 office has, being that Ward 3 has a huge unhoused population, and many of the calls that the Ward 3 office receives are dealing with encampments, things of that nature. I think it's pretty obvious that we need to have one person who's trained, who knows like what to do in the event of an encampment or someone who needs help, instead of what's happening now where you're just given a number to call and who knows if you'll receive a call back. Also, from the campaign trail, I've heard many constituents tell me that these short hours of the Ward 3 office, and the stress on calling and leaving a message, and that they haven't gotten a call back. They haven't been given an appointment to meet with a council member or staff. I think a lot of this falls on the fact that the current council member has his agenda, and he's not as willing as he should be to advocate for issues that aren't kind of in his wheelhouse. You know, I'm ready to meet with constituents with whatever idea, problem, or you know, solution that they have that they want to talk to me about. I've done that in TUSD, meeting with people who, you know, I may or may not agree with, but as a elected official, you need to really be open to meeting with everyone, regardless of political affiliation or whether or not you know, their need is something that you're used to advocating for. Next slide. All right, so we are in a housing crisis in Tucson. That image there shows the Tucson House, which is one of the city's public houses that is in dire need. I know that there is a lot of movement to revitalize the Tucson House, but you know, this revitalization should have happened a long time ago. I have family members who used to live at the Tucson House. My dad lived there when it was first constructed. And then my uncle Pierre lived there when it became public housing. And he actually passed away within the building. And so I know a lot of folks who live in the Tucson house because, you know, they attend our meetings. And, you know, they're at the Thrive meetings that I attend as well. And so I know a lot of folks who live there, and I've heard, you know, kind of horror stories about what's going on at the Tucson house. I'm sure all of you heard about the incidents of the elevators not working, things like that. And, you know, this kind of shows that we have a problem in the city with managing the housing that we already have. I'm happy that there is a push to create new housing, but I want to make sure that the housing that is created, like the Sugar Hill and Stone project that is about to break ground this month, is managed well. I've heard from other uh, housing agencies like La Frontera that have to use the city to do inspections whenever there's a vacancy, that even they have issues working with the city, that like they have a vacant apartment, but sometimes it takes 3 months or more for the city to do an inspection so that they can get a new person in there. I want to make sure that the housing that we do have is, you know, utilized in a way that is expedited because there's such a great need. And then as far as the unhoused population, I think that we need to do a lot more to help our neighbors who are unhoused. One of the ideas that I would like to explore as a council person is to use some of our city surplus properties for I guess, designated campgrounds. We have a lot of vacant properties that belong to the city in my neighborhood, specifically along Grant Road. And so, you know, if there's property that's empty that we hold as a city, we need to develop it and use it for folks that we keep pushing around. You know, with the new ordinances about not camping in parks or not camping in the washes, there's really no place for these people to go besides our sidewalks or our alleyways, and that's not like that doesn't work either. And so if we're creative and we're innovative and we bring some of those mobile showers and mobile bathrooms into these areas, like the vacant lots on Grant or some of the other properties that we have in Ward 5, I think that we can help the unhoused, you know, find scaffolding to get off the streets. It's really like a multi-pronged approach that we have to do so that people can trust us enough to say yes to some of the resources that we're offering. For those who are currently housed, I think we need to expand our tenant protections, strengthen eviction defense, and also put some resources out so that folks can, you know, improve their houses if they're living in a home that may not have AC because it's an older home and like the AC went out. Then we need to find ways that we can collaborate with businesses or organizations so that the homes that people do live in have our quality homes and they're not living in unsafe conditions. Next slide. We all know that there's an opioid crisis in Tucson. And in a lot of ways, it's become more difficult to get people services with other drugs like heroin. It was a lot easier to mandate court-ordered treatment because some of the crimes that those users were committing, if they were committing crimes, were not misdemeanors, but they were felonies. And so we were able to like mandate court-ordered treatment. Right now, with fentanyl being so cheap, a lot of the crime that some of those folks are committing are considered misdemeanors, and we can't exactly force people into a rehab or detox that is kind of a locked facility. We do have the ability, though, to deflect people into a detox facility. And like year to date, there's been about 200 people who have been arrested and have elected to go into rehab instead of jail. But unfortunately, being that those aren't locked facilities, people will pretty much leave after the police officer drives away. And so we need to find a way to, work with our criminal justice people and make it easier for people to get off the streets, get out of this cycle of abuse. And, as a city council person, I have actually worked, as a professional, currently I'm working with the Pima County Health Department to do an art and public health project called Solid Arte, where we focus on opioid use. We work with people with lived experience, and really the arts is a great way to get people to see the cycle of abuse, to accept services that are out there, and to, have some hope. And so I think we just need to be creative with how we reach out to people and how we push them to get services that they truly need. Next slide. Okay, I see we're almost at one, so I'm going to kind of rush through this last slide since I've already talked about it. I think that we do need more oversight of Tucson Police Department's budget and how they do things, being that they receive a huge allocation of our budget. This year it's 231 million, and next year it's slated to increase even more. I think that that means that we need to make sure that the money that is going to them is used in a way that makes sense. I'm not for the militarization of our police department. Not only has Tucson, but other cities around the country have moved to militarize their police. And so I don't think we need, a plane for a department. I don't think that we need all of tanks, things like that, which, with the Prop 414 money, a lot of that allocation would be going to heighten this militarization in our police department. On the campaign trail, I have found that there's a lot of complaints for officers, and currently it's mainly the police department themselves that deal with the complaints that they receive. And so we need to make sure that there's an independent agency that reviews citizen complaints. There is a commission, a police commission as a BCC. You could find it on the BCC website for the city. But most people don't know that this committee exists. And so if there's an issue with someone and how they were dealt with an officer, really, they can complain about it online. They could do the citizen complaint portal through TPD, or they can go to this commission that most people don't know about. And so I think we need to do a lot better with making sure that our officers are treating citizens in a way that is that they deserve, really, so that they can, stop this vicious cycle of people not respecting police and police not being respected, so they disrespect people. So sorry I talked so much, but I am open to
you
questions.
had a lot to present. And Lillian Fox has her hand up. Lillian?
I'd almost wish that Sadie keep talking. I'm amazed. You have been a fabulous board member, and I had no idea, TUSD board member, I had no idea how much you knew about the city and how engaged you were. We have children in TUSD who are homeless, and we have children in TUSD who are parents are incarcerated. And as a city council member, what do you think you could do? Or as both board and council member, what could you do to help these children?
Yeah, thank you for your question and for your compliments, Lillian. In TUSD, a couple years ago, I, was really trying to pitch that we use some of our surplus properties in TUSD, and there are so many, for housing for our homeless families in TUSD. That idea didn't track well with our superintendent. He didn't want to get into the business of housing. He said there's a lot of liabilities with that. That being said, I think, land is a huge part of building housing. And so I would love to keep exploring that idea and work with agencies in the city or just nonprofits like La Frontera and developing some of the vacant lots or properties that we have in TUSD to be housing for folks in our district who need housing.
These are all good projects, but the general election will be city-side. We have seen a concerted effort by Turning Point and Crime-Free Tucson to affect Tucson elections. How would you campaign to counteract these right-wing forces?
So thanks for the question, Rosemary. There's not much I can do to change or to prevent people from exercising their First Amendment rights. I do support our Constitution and all the good and the bad that comes with, our rights that we are so thankful and privileged to have here in America. And so, yeah, everybody gets to speak on what they believe. And so, yeah, I'm not going to prevent
Okay.
from speaking.
Andrea Kennedy has her hand up.
Hi, thanks. Thanks, Sadie, for coming today. What I've noticed about people in city and county and federal too is that they try to get something done, they run into obstacles. You just mentioned TUSD present liability, which is something they have to worry about. System, roadblocks put up by the system. You know what I'm talking about. So, and I look at all these people and realize, I don't think they're not getting stuff done because they're not trying. So can you tell us about a time or several times you wanted to get something done and there were impediments? What did you do to take care of that, get rid of the impediments, go around them? What did you do to persuade people to come to your point of view and get them on your side? And please talk about that.
Yeah, great question. There have been so many times in TUSD where I tried to get like a great idea done, but didn't pan out in the timing that I wanted it to. First time was with raising our minimum wage in TUSD to $15 an hour. As you know, there's like a schedule of when to get to 15. I think it was 2025 where everybody had to get to 15, but first year, probably within one of the first meetings, I moved to raise our minimum wage to $15 an hour. And that was, well, that died for lack of a second, unfortunately, even though every single board member at that time had endorsed the campaign. I didn't let that stop me in advocating that we raise that. I, pushed it again. I moved for that again at like the next year when it was happening. And again, it died for lack of a second, if you can believe it or not. So I just kept kind of pushing the issue. I, made the case that a lot of TUSD students were making more money at EGs than some of our staff members. Finally, another board member who wouldn't second or like, I guess, support my motion, put it forth herself, and it was passed very quickly by everyone, thank God. And so I find that a lot of the times, perhaps my board, or even like if elected, the city council may not want to support an idea because it comes from me for some odd reason. So in my 5th year at TUSD, I found that I have to be strategic about how I, get things on the agenda. If it's because of me, and maybe it'll work better through another council member, I'm open to working with my colleagues on the council or the board to make sure that ideas that need to happen in our city or in the district are passed, whether it's me making that motion or someone else. There's been other things like the libraries and TUSD getting PE. I've made motions about that and haven't had any support. But like I said earlier in the meeting, we have added that to the override, and I hope that it will be passed so that we can get PE and librarians at every school in TUSD.
Okay, Mike Bryan has his hand up.
Thanks, Joe. Sadie, the city has obviously limited discretionary budget authority over some areas because, there's a lot of money that we just have to spend. But of that limited amount of discretionary spending that Tucson does, what would you like to emphasize and de-emphasize or implement as new spending in the coming budgets if you were elected?
Yeah, so I would love to put more money towards housing and community development, and also parks and recreation. I think our public spaces need a lot of help. Our parks, our recreation centers, over at the Dorsey Thompson Park. There have been there's a sidewalk that's at the pool, and then it just stops in the middle of the grass. And, to me, this is a serious ADA compliance issue. And so I want to make sure that all of our parks are accessible. And that sidewalk has been like that since I was a girl. And so really it's just, we just need to make sure that money is spread out equitably. We see Himmel Park having a lot of, like the parks money came to them pretty much immediately. I don't believe that Himmel Park was the greatest, had the greatest need. And so, yeah, I think we should spread the wealth around in a way that makes sense. And we can do this through, a forensic audit to see where we can kind of pick and choose where things might be going towards something that, maybe there's enough money in that pot, such as the police budget. But we can also create more money by, adding a little bit more tax to folks who go to hotels. The whole bed tax thing, I know, is something that is being explored right now. And, there's a time in Tucson where it costs a lot of money to get a bed in the hotels during the gem show. And so I'd love to explore having more money go to the city through tourism.
Just a quick follow-up on that, if I may, Joe. Sadie, some of your fellow council members there, or I guess potential fellow council members, are doing something about public budgeting and putting aside some money, discretionary money, for their constituents to discuss and vote on how it will be spent. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really important that each council member has, some money to help their constituents within their ward. And so I would absolutely be ecstatic to have a pot of money that we can use to help neighborhoods.
Okay. Barathan has joined us and his hand is up.
Hi, Sadie.
Hey.
I'm sorry, it's a little late to ask this question, but Mike's question about the budget brought this to my head. With all of the cuts that are happening in the federal administration, there's a pretty reasonable chance that we're going to run short of a heck of a lot of money at the city level. Have you made an assessment of just how much damage there is, and what would be your thoughts on what we can do about that apart from starving to death?
Yeah, so, in TUSD, we are also in like a budget crisis due to what's happening at the federal level and just in general, even at the state. And so because of that, I think we just need to use the resources that we know we can depend on in a way that is smart and will sustain the programs that must be continued. However, like, in the district, sometimes we think that we're going to lose something, but then it's found to be unconstitutional. And so we just have to roll with the punches and be really conservative in what areas that we can be and, move resources in a way that's smart. That's why I think that these properties that we have in the city need to be utilized because it really doesn't make sense to waste the resources of our police department to move, encampments and to always go out for a call with something that's happening, dealing with the unhoused, because they have nowhere to go. We keep using resources in a way that just doesn't make sense, especially when it comes to folks who are like the most marginalized and need the most help.
Thanks.
Okay, Bob, you have a question.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Joe, and hi, Sadie. I wanted to know, it seems to me there's a lot of overlap between Ward 3 and the Thrive in the O5 geographically, and I just wondered what your assessment of that program is. There's a younger one now, the 29th Street Thrive that's being created, but was that a worthwhile effort? And, what are your thoughts about the Thrive in the O5?
Thanks for your question. Gosh. Yeah, I'm excited about, I was excited about the Thrive projects. I've been going to the Thrive meeting since it started because Sugar Hill is within the Thrive zones. Because of the Thrive money, we were able to get some of that public art that I showed you and even more things along this stone boundary of our neighborhood. There's a lot that is slated to happen with more of the Thrive money, like the revitalization of the Tucson house and the construction of the Sugar Hill on Stone apartment complex. That being said, Thrive started in like 2018. It's now 2025. A lot of the projects that I've seen implemented for Thrive are public art projects. I think it's unfortunate that it's some of the things that are like the highest need, like the construction of the Tucson house or reconstruction, excuse me, are, late to happen. I think they could have put a new elevator in there during this times to avoid the issues that they're having now. And so I'm happy that Thrive is in existence, but I sometimes worry about how it is being managed. Yeah. And
Okay, well, great special guest today with Sadie. We really appreciate your being here. And as always, the Democrats of Greater Tucson are ready with questions and lots of great questions, and we really appreciate that. Okay, let's hear it for Sadie. Yes,
thank
Sadie.
you. And just before I go, I just want to thank you all for listening and asking your questions. If you have another question that maybe I didn't get to, please feel free to reach out to me. My website is in the chat, sadieforward3.com, and we do have some events coming up. If you can support in other ways via a donation, we are the grassroots candidate in this race. And so I do need all the help that I can get, and I appreciate your support. And yeah, I hope to hear from you soon.
Great. Thank you, Sadie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, it's Senator Mark Kelly. As all of you know, Arizona Democrats have had a lot of important wins over the last few years. We won 2 U.S. Senate races, and we delivered Arizona's electoral votes to President Biden and Vice President Harris. We elected Governor Katie Hobbs, Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, and Attorney General Chris Mays. Now, those elections were close, and our victories mattered. Arizona Democrats from the federal to the local level have delivered real results for our state on critical issues like combating climate change, lowering prescription drug costs, protecting the right to vote, and preventing more restrictions on abortion access. The Democrats of Greater Tucson offers the opportunity to hear from elected officials and candidates about that important work and the issues that matter to them. That information will be invaluable as Arizonans head to the polls. So this election cycle, whether you're signing up to knock doors, make phone calls, or joining the Democrats of Greater Tucson to hear from and speak to Democrats in our area, please know that your voice matters and we need you on this team. Thank you.